Good evening to everyone. Just give me a moment as I share my screen with everybody.
So your screen is you are visible. The PPT is in front of you.
Yes, yes, it is. I hope the PPT is visible as well.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So before we move on into the topic per se, I would like to thank Dr. Hakib, Associate Professor, Department of Economics, University of Delhi, for his inputs. And I would like to add on to that by saying that yes, today's presentation more or less deals with the ideas that he has put forward, especially concerning how the government of Manipur these days, especially in the recent years, I should say, is focusing on including the comic format as a part of textbook culture for educating the younger children in Manipur. So, ages 3 to 5, they are studying about the cultures and folklores of Manipur and about the heritage per se through the comic textbook format. So, yes, this is one of the important aspects of Manipuri comics, where it promotes peace as well as focuses on educating the younger generation. So, before we move on further, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Bhavika Sachan, and I'm a postgraduate student from the Department of English, University of Delhi. And I've written my dissertation on contemporary South Asian cultures under Professor Crystal Devdasan, and currently I'm a PhD candidate in the same field. I thank GSTS and today's guest of honor both for giving me this wonderful opportunity to speak on the topic of comics as emerging archives of culture and oral traditions, with a specific focus on Manipuri comics and the role they play in the preservation of indigenous and local stories from the state. Since the intention is to introduce the audience with this emerging idea, an idea which is still developing, still growing, I would like to start with a story, one that has echoed through the hills of Manipur for centuries, and some of you may be aware of it, and many of you may not be aware of it. So, this second slide that we have in front of us shows the image of goddess Pantaubi who descends to earth, her footsteps spark rivers, and her laughter births valleys. She is considered the goddess of civilization in Manipur. She is a warrior, a lover, and a weaver of destinies. She was the deified Meitei princess of the Nintauja dynasty. Her romantic epic union with her lover Nintauja was celebrated as the seminal form of Lai Haroba, which is the Meitei community's ritualistic dance and music kind of theatrical sacred festival in Manipur. For generations, her tale of romance and how she unites with her lover after rejecting a lot of suitors and going above materialistic gains and everything, fighting wars and winning through life. As you can see, that she's portrayed uh, to be seated on a tiger or a white horse sometimes. Her tale has been shared orally across villages, squares, and in like circles where everybody would sit together and listen to her tale. In fact, I should add on that Shubdani Devi's work, The Illustrated Folk Tales of Manipur, published in 2010, was perhaps the first time goddess Pandobi's story finds not finds existence not just in oral traditions or as whispers, but rather in the bold lines and the vibrant panels of a comic book. This is the power of Manipuri comics that I would like to highlight and talk about, that they are not just sources of entertainment where people just read and have light laughter, but they're also living archives of cultural memory, which has been passed on through generations of conversation and oral storytelling. Over the next 20 minutes of our discussion today, we'll explore how this comic form weaves indigenous folklore, mythologies, and histories into visual storytelling. We will explore three case studies from the state itself to delve into its style and form and to understand this concept better. But before we talk about the three case studies, we shall look at existing scholarship on the visual representation of Northeast India within mainstream Indian culture, highlighting the criticism held against mainstream representation of the region, which is one of the major or like biggest debatable question of the current time as well. Moving on, if you would look closely in this to this slide at this slide, I have taken examples from popular mainstream comics such as Amar Chitra Katha and the Tinkle comics. Both have been scripted by Anant Pai, or more popularly known as Uncle Pai. He is really popular. He's one of the earliest comic writers of Indian origin, so to say, in South Asia, I should say. He had started these series with the attempt to educate Indian children about their cultural heritage. Now, this is something that we should focus on specifically. That the reason Amar Chitra Katha or Tinkle Comics, or for that matter, Chacha Chaudhary or any other comic came into being was that Indian students should be made aware about their cultural heritage. Pai was shocked by the fact that Indian students can answer questions on Greek and Roman mythology, but know little to nothing about their own mythology and folklore. However, I should say this that even ACK, which is the short form of Amar Chitra Katha, and Tinkle Comics have both failed to do justice to the peripheral northeastern region in general and Manipur in particular, I should say. While ACK clubs together the folktales from the Northeast region into one idea that is of the Northeast and focuses on common fables with animals as characters and conveying morals and everything, Tinker Comics released the Wing Star series with Mapui Kwalim as a reluctant teenage girl in the fictional town of Iswa or Aizwa in Mizoram, managing maths homeworks and like spending time with friends and everything and fighting crimes simultaneously, as you would see in one of the panels I've added over here, which discuss how she's not able to figure out certain maths problem and all, but then immediately there's a call from the professor who has given her gadgets to fight crime, and now she's out at night fighting crime. Now, the creation of this superhero series, which features a young teenager from Mizoram, was revolutionary for two reasons. First, Mapui was a female superhero. And second, this character was made to represent the much neglected and stereotyped citizens of Northeast India within the mainstream Indian culture. Now, just imagine one teenage girl who is struggling with maths homework and making time for her friends or having sleepover and everything from one state of Mizoram in the entire northeastern region was made to represent the whole of Northeast India. That would make it really critical. And that's why I would say that the criticism stands really tall for Tinkle comic in this particular aspect. Once the comic book came out, the Tinkle comic, many readers were left disappointed at the inauthentic representation of Northeastern citizens in the image of the columns. Online commenters criticized Tinkle for its inaccurate portrayal of Mizoram's culture, noting issues with names, languages, and visuals. One of the writers online pointed out the misspelling of the protagonist's name. It should be Mapui with a double I, as you would notice, However, it was written Mapui with a single I. And that commenter online also noted that the father's name was Tashi, which is culturally misplaced because Tashi is more of a Tibetan name rather than Mizo. It also highlighted that Qualim is not a Mizo surname, as Mizos use clan names instead. Professor Ralte from Nehu, which is Northeastern Hill University, added that the characters did not resemble Mizo people in appearance at all. And one example you could see on your screen. Interestingly, in order to maintain the comic's universal appeal, the creator of the series, the one who sketched it, Sean DeMello, himself says, and these are his lines by the way, the intention was to neither represent nor misrepresent any community, and to ensure that the backdrop and names and characters used created just a mere sense of belonging to that region, not coming from that region. While the story could be based in any city of India, be it Delhi or Bombay. So the criticism was that somewhere Tinkle Comic has only acted in a tokenistic way. Anyhow, mainstream Indian comic culture either bracketed the entire set of ethnic and indigenous identities within the umbrella term of Northeast, or they have failed to fully represent a state's or a tribe's or a community's authenticity. These are certain criticisms, scholarly criticisms, I should say, that I've summed up, and they all have argued majorly along the lines that I have just mentioned here. One of the very popular criticisms was offered by Sukriti in her article called "Looking East," where she talks about the misrepresentation offered by Tinkle Comics Wingstar series. Then we also have Professor Renu Elizabeth from Bangalore, who mentions that mainstream comics in India, they kind of on purpose sanitize the culture from Northeast because they have to ensure that there is a universal appeal and it becomes easier for the nationals to understand the culture, etc., etc. And she has given a very important term, which is really important from scholarly perspectives, which is conscious sanitization of Northeast cultures in mainstream comics. Not just this, there are many other academic works, I should say, that have come into being, such as the Indian graphic novel by Pramod Nair, one of the very well known comic critics and researchers in India, who talks about the post-colonial importance of comics, while an entirely new term has also come into being while exploring comics, which is post-colonial comics itself by Mehta and Mukherjee. So all these works, they talk about the history and post-colonialism, post-independence, all these heavy terms, and they are majorly associating comics or graphic novels with the idea of resistance against dominating cultures. You can also say the British rule, so to say. However, none of these works that I've mentioned here so far, in none of these works, Manipuri culture is given a separate area of study or focus. And it's pretty ironic that Amar Chitrakatha, which came with a focus of promoting India's cultural heritage, has failed to include the peripheries or the marginalized sections of Indian society. And here I can even include the caste system. So, how do comics from Northeast, here in particular, let's say Manipur, fill this gap left by these existing scholarships, and why does it matter? Let's have a look. Manipur is a state in northeast India, which we all know, and it has a mosaic of over 30 ethnic communities. And yet, since India's independence, it has grappled with internal colonization, ethnic conflicts, and cultural homogenization. And it's very important to know that Northeast India, the region itself, shares very important boundaries globally, which makes the area even more tense and politically active, I should say. The 2023 riots in Manipur are a stark reminder of these tensions. We cannot overlook this at all. Languages like Meitei and tribal dialects face extinction. Oral traditions such as stories, songs, rituals, etc., are vanishing under the weight of displacement and national insecurity, which is pretty obvious, especially since 2023, as you would notice that many areas in Manipur have been abandoned and people have left their homes to resettle somewhere else. In this climate, comics have emerged as unexpected heroes. This idea is what we began this presentation with. Kiran Kumar, he is actually the Deputy Commissioner of Imphal West, and he calls these comics as visual bridges that preserve lifestyle, traditions, and cultures. An idea that gets more and more deeply encouraged and involved as the government of Manipur takes the steps to include visually represented, visually surcharged, I should say, comics and make it a part of the educational curriculum, so to say. Comics transform the ephemeral into the eternal. What I mean is that oral storytelling is fleeting, a voice that fades over time. But comics freeze these voices into panels. I would like us to have a look at certain case studies in order for us to understand comics that originate from Manipur. And the first one that I would like to discuss is Kiran Kumar's folk tales of Mao, Maram, and Paume, which we were just talking about. That this particular comic has been created with the idea of making the folk tales and cultural traditions of these three tribes, Mao, Maram, and Paume, available to the students so that students, children, young children, become aware about their own cultures and may ground themselves into the rich heritage, so to say. This comic work by Kiran Kumar is actually the first comic to unite three different Manipuri tribes. So currently, or maybe I should say in 2021, these tribes probably were in conflict with each other, and the presence of this comic book, which Kiran Kumar created while discussing with the elders of these three tribes together, helped in somehow stitching together the fractured communities. So, this particular work has got 15 short stories, 7 from Paume, 5 from Maram, and 3 from Mao. And all of them have been put together into vibrant colored panels with easy style of writing to make up till 135 pages long. And this work stands as a symbol of unity and peace between the among the three tribes. The next work that we would like to discuss here is Shukdani Devi's The Illustrated Folk Tales of Manipur, published in 2010. It archives ancient Meitei beliefs and legends, one of them being about goddess Pandovi, which we have already discussed, her epic romance leading to her deification. Um, all this we have discussed earlier in this particular presentation. Interestingly, I would like you to notice here that I've attached a link, as this work is digitally available for everyone to access, because eventually the aim is, I hope you can see it. I've clicked on the link. Um, yeah, so it's gonna take a time. Oh, great. Okay. So this is how the work is available online for everyone to view it, because eventually the aim of Manipuri comics or the government of Manipur or any archive for that matter is to preserve oral traditions and to represent these local narratives on a global platform. I would like to add this fact here that interestingly, because Manipuri comics or the idea of comics in Manipur has begun to emerge in the 21st century quite recently. So it becomes easier for them to make these things available on a global platform, which adds on and makes things even better for archivists of culture, I should say. Now, the last case study that we would focus on is Natasha Taudum's An Imagined Graphic History of the Meitei Graphic Narrative. This work was funded by Zuban Publications grant in 2018 to 2019 time period. It discusses the mythic origins of Manipur and the evolution of the Meitei script. Its aim was to reclaim the Meitei identity. Um, I would like to show a glimpse from this work where the writer has scripted the tale of the first mythical king of Manipur, whose name is Pakhamba. I hope I'm pronouncing it correct. The character, or I should say, the protagonist of this particular graphic narrative is the Meitei script itself. So the script is speaking and talking about how it originated, which is a very interesting idea, I should say. So this work comes with a preface where the writer has explained the origins of Meitei script and all the criticism and everything that exists. Um, yeah, so she talks about all of this, and then she goes on to talk about, yeah, so she goes on to, okay, I hope it's just me where it's acting up. Oh yeah, can you see the black and white script over here? So the writer goes on to talk about a story basically of how Manipur looked like before it became Manipur. So there's the original ancient name of the Meitei kingdom, so to say, and then it shows how Manipur looks like the way it does today, following the mythical king's story, which is, as you can see, symbolized over here. And then finally, this entire idea of how Meitei script originates, etc., etc. It's a total 26 pages long work, but I would like to move on and talk about the stylistic representation. So, if you would notice so far from all the panels and slides that I've shared, that Manipuri comics and graphic narratives are very simple and very amateurish works because they're still originating. They are often in black and white form with the bold colors, such as the one over here, red in color. They are used to highlight the gravity and significance behind these myths they are trying to archive. So these works are very amateurish and very new and written in a very simple form, so to say. And interestingly, while Manipuri comics, which are intended for the education of children, as you would notice in Kiran Kumar's work, they are very vibrant and very written in a language which is very easy to understand and digest. The eventual aim of all these graphic novels and comics is to spread awareness about the culture and to preserve and archive these works. The visual narrative is rich in traditional motifs and it collides with emerging layouts and panel choices of the comic form. But does it end over here? No, it does not. There are many challenges that still persist. How do these artists balance authenticity with commercial appeal? Because some would fear that their folkloric themes might become exotic commodities, others will grapple with funding to publish their works. But because we're talking about the 21st century, I would say that hope thrives in digital spaces. There are there are many Instagram artists that have begun to come about, such as Max Locum, or we have a illustration house now by the name of Funga. And what they do is that they digitalize folk tales for Gen Zs, I should say, into fantasies. As you would say, I've attached an example over here how these works, these tales, take on a visually uh, 21st century idea, I should say. By this, I mean is that these tales, instead of simply being limited to the comic books, take on the digital fantasy versions as well. Now, these Instagram art is a very recent and still emerging form, and it definitely presents the Manipuri folktales on a global platform as Instagram makes it available worldwide. In conclusion, I would say Manipuri comics are more than just art. They are blueprints for decolonizing education, archives for endangered cultures, and mirrors reflecting marginalized voices. Support is really important because this art form is still emerging. And how can we support this initiative, this art form? By following collectives and Instagram pages such as Zuban Publication or the Funga Illustration House, whose link is provided over here. And I would say that as Goddess Pantavi weaves her tale into comics, let us also weave these comics into our collective consciousness and amplify these stories beyond the periphery. I would like to rest my case over here. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Bhavika, for such a wonderful presentation on this topic, Manipuri comics, and for telling us what is the importance of comics, where they stands, and where we as a public lack in acknowledging them. Okay, so now we have some questions regarding today's presentation, so let's take them. So the first question is that among all the challenges comic creators are facing nowadays, publication and distribution is the biggest one. Also, in the era of digital media and pop.
Yeah, maybe some internet issue. So let me read it out for you. So, what are the challenges faced by comic creators in Manipur in the term of publishing and distribution? Also, the era of digital media and the popular culture, uh, where is the future stand for the comics?
Okay, I would like to take up this in parts. The first one is the challenges faced by comic creators in Manipur. The publishing industry is not that developed, I would say, in Manipur as of yet for publishing and all of that. And if you would like look up, like Google this up, you would notice that there are many, not many, there are actually a few industries, few publishing houses that promote comics and everything. But in Manipur, there is one thing that's going on, which is very good, I would say. It's that that the government of Manipur itself is taking part into this particular idea of promoting comic books. So comic books, the visual form has like become an important part of the curriculum. So in Manipur now we do not have like course books or curriculum books up till the ages of 5. So 3 to 5 students, 3 to 5 age group students, children, they only study via the comic format. So the textbooks exist in comic format only. So once this role has been taken up by the government of Manipur, it's themselves, I should say, sooner or later, the publishing industry for comic creators in Manipur should improve. And secondly, the question was the like in the era of digital media and popular culture, like anime, what is the future stance for comics? I would like to bring to your notice this particular thing that Nagaland, the state of Nagaland, is one of the biggest hubs for anime in India. So they have like comic cons in Nagaland and publishing industry in Nagaland, by the way, for comics and anime and everything is really really popular and very much prevalent. So in Nagaland we have this particular thing where the future of comics is very bright. So if there is a state in the northeastern region such as Nagaland, which is one of the biggest promoters of anime and comic industry uh, within India, I would say the future for comics in this particular era, with a lot of digital media and everything going on, it's very bright. It is going to take time, definitely it's going to take time, but sooner or later it will become a popular form.
Okay, thank you, Bhavika. Really, it's interesting description. One another question, and after that, we hand over the stage to Dr. Fakir. So, how you see the other regions' heroes if you compare to the Manipuri leaders or leading heroes? So, how you'd like to compare not only northeastern part of India but the whole India? If you have some ideas, so can you give us these things?
I have lots of ideas, like lots of representations to show. And this question is actually very interesting because, okay, let me just reshare my slide with you once. There is, uh, I've added a picture over here. I hope my screen's visible. The thank you page.
Yes, yes, yeah.
So this is the digital, these two characters are actually Haniba and Hanibui, I think. And they are created in 2022 or 23 aroundish, and their series is still going on. So this is how a digital form of Manipuri protagonist they look like. The digital form that I was talking about, the Instagram promoted or the digitally archived characters, I should say. And interestingly, this is just one form of it. There are many other forms, and in Manipur, I should say, there is a series by the name of Muramba. It's a popular series that, and if you've like explored it, you would know about it. And if not, I would gladly show you some examples of it. Um, there is that series which focuses on folk tales and everything, and how it majorly differentiates with other regions. If we look at northeast of India, we have a very new form of emerging concept of comics. So all the art that we have is very amateurish. So from Nagaland, because Nagaland is majorly into anime, so the characters kind of look similar to the Japanese manga form. While in Meghalaya, we have just scribbles of writing and everything. nothing too big, nothing too flashy, I should say. And in Assam, we already have an emerging author from there, Parishmita Singh. So her works are very popular. But if we were to compare Northeast and Manipuri region with mainstream of India, mainstream India, we have a very strict way of representing comics in mainstream, which is the graphic novel form. And you must know about Munnu, A Boy from Kashmir, written by Malik Sajad, or works like Amrita Patil's Kari. So you would know all these works very popular and their representation. So I would categorize the heroes from Manipur, the portrayal from here, to be more culturally grounded, culturally rooted, instead of focusing on the universal national appeal of belonging.
Okay, so thank you so much, Bhavika. So now I will take this session further. The last question which we asked to all our speaker, what is like, how's your experience with this GSTS team and what is your views regarding this platform, GSTS?
I think this is a wonderful platform which allows you to present new and emerging concepts over here and give space for discussion and inquiry. So I believe that GSTS is doing a very, very good job. And I'm really grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, and we would like to connect again with you soon. So now we would like to invite our today's guest of honor for his final remarks on your talks on this platform also. So sir, over to you.
Yeah, yeah, you're giving me an opportunity to speak again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So the presentation by the speaker, it's very enriching, I should say. Even me, personally from Northeast and from Manipur, I don't have much, not much knowledge about all those comics. But I know that recently the state government has promoted uh, comic to be a part of education curriculum so that the children are learning it in a more easier way. And I should thank the speaker. Uh, comparing different states like Nagaland, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Manipur. I think that's really that's really enriching. And then comparing Northeast vis-a-vis the rest of it, India, how the mainstream comics and how these the comics from the Northeast differs and all those. I think these are really enriching. Um, and I believe that through even through these comics, like people or students from all parts of India could learn one another's culture, or maybe you could say history, or maybe the roots that could connect all of us. Yeah. And I would like to once again congratulate the speaker for her beautiful and brilliant presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for
Thank
your
you so much.
precious time. And now further, I would like to announce the speaker of month for this April month. So we have four speakers. The first speaker is Mr. Samba, who talk on the developed nation. The second, we have Muhammad Altamas, who talk on flavors of India. The third speaker was Miss Sivani, and she talked about alexithymia. And the fourth speaker was Srishta Mehdi, and she talked about the gig economy. So the speaker of month for April is Srishta Mehdi. So Srishta, if you are here, you can share your views. Srishta.
Hi, yeah, I'm here. Thank you. It's an honor to be the speaker of the month. Thank you so much. I would like to thank the entire platform for giving me this opportunity. And also, if I may, because I'm also from Northeast, so I would also want to share some views about the whole presentation that Bhavika did. So if Sir allows and the platform allows, I could speak too.
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Sir, I don't know if it is a coincidence or what is the issue, but this is exactly 2 years after the Manipur conflict started, and we see people in Jantar Mantar currently protesting. And Bhavika did such a great presentation on Manipur, so it's a very enriching time for all the people present here to know about the situation in Manipur. And as you teach us in our classes, graphic representations or novels or a digital form of art always gives you a counter narratives or gives you a more clearer picture about the visual representation of anything that is happening. So such an enriching talk on Northeast and what is prevalent in the mainstream media and how it could be countered with the very nuanced version of Manipur life and culture and history that is depicted by the comics is really a very good interpretation of the region as a whole. And I'm very proud about the presentation that she did and what is going on right now. So yeah, thank you so much for it. And thank you for being making me the speaker of the month. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Shrestha, once again, and congratulations for being the speaker of month. And now it's time to wrap up the session. So I would like to call Mr. Dr. Manisha for vote of thanks.
Okay, Shubham. Really, it's a fantastic evening again, and was the my idea to invite few of my faculty members and the students to give us a sense about the whole talk. So I'm looking towards one of my colleague from Aryabhat College, but she's not here. So I'll start with two. One of my another colleague, Miss Kiran, are you here? If you want to say something on the whole idea of Northeast on Manipuri comic, so if you are available here, can you say something? And after that, I'll invite Himansi to put forward her remarks. Kiran, want to say something? Okay, maybe.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir. Good evening
yeah,
to
yeah.
all, and it was a very good experience to join here. So thanks, Bhavika ma'am, and a very big thanks to Manish sir who has extended the invitation to us. Yes. So I guess this is a kind of Manipuri, though I don't have very much ideas that I can provide you insight here. Um, 1 second, sir. So,
No, no
like
issues, ma'am.
the atomic
You
idea,
you
yeah,
you
yes,
can
sir.
only you can only encourage the speaker. This is most important thing for teachers
Yes,
to know.
though I am a big fan of anime and comics, so I can say that overall, these are comics and animes. These are actually a great idea of expression, blending tradition, folklore, and modern themes also. So it's ideal for those short series and graphic novels, which are a very great part of literature in which I can maybe I can name one that is Mahabharata. It is also being graphic. So I guess students are more interested in that, or maybe students and children who are having, you know, it is more approachable in this medium. So yeah, it's great to hear you, and looking forward for more kind of sessions like this.
Thank you, Kiran. So Himansi, over to you for quick remarks. Himansi, are you here? Okay.
Sir, you are on mute.
Uh, I myself muted. Huh? Okay. So really, it's great to listen to young scholar.
Sorry, sir, I think there is a network issue. I think
Ye-
I'm here.
Okay, okay. So Himansi, want to say something?
No, no, I just wanted to say it was a great, great presentation. I mean, I'm just stunned with the presentation. Some just also out and not being able to listen everything, but whatever I have listened, it was amazing.
So thank you, Himanshi. It's a great to hear you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Bhavika, really, I'm not going to give you any remarks because I'm not. I love to read comics, and as a history background, I know that how we get idea from these comics for the uh, day-to-day aspect of the society, culture, and the polity. Because in our history curriculum also, I just remembered. Book written by Ramchandra Guha on cricket. Okay, through the cricket, he wanted to depict the caste system in India. So it's a very fascinating things about through the comics, through the day-to-day interpretations of the sports. Suppose that football, those country which is those who are playing football. And those country, those are playing cricket, the total different cultural ideas. I'm not going to because I have very less time, 180 seconds time. So through the comics, we can get all those ideas, and really, it's very new for me that through the comics for the Manipuri comics because Vikram Betal, Chacha Chaudhary, these are the North India, these are the very famous comics, and the Phantom, Once Upon a Time, and when we were kids. So we at least do not understand through the comics how we intrude our minds, and that why the colonial power did through all these comics and whatever the thing, the historiography thing and the comics thing, they are encroach our ideas. And so you exactly like told about the word decolonization. So if they wanted to colonize us through these literature, so this is the right time to we decolonize our mind through these kind of literature. And definitely, I don't think so in the history or the English literature. Now the comics, they are the sources, just like the oral sources in early those days. But now oral sources and folk tales and folklores we are using for the sources of history. One day, definitely, we'll try to incorporate comics as a sources. Right now, I don't think so. Comics is a part of source to be serious writings in India. Though the people are in the different in the Western aspect, Western country, and I mean to say Western country, it's a not West. We are the Eastern country in the other parts of the outside India, Singapore, China. They are using these comics as a part of their source study. But still in India, it's a very new thing. So through all this depiction and idea, I can imagine that if the comics become the source to write some history, it gives a very different narrative about those ideas, those state or those narratives. So thank you very much, Bhavika, that you give us a sense that we reclaim our bachpan. That means we reclaim our kids' days where we playing and we exchange comics to each other. Because I'm living in a place where almost 10 or 12 state like family they are living, and we exchange their comics, and it gives me an idea in just behind our house, a Bengali family was there, and they used to give us a Bengali literature comics. And I turned the pages, flip the pages, and I did not understand any bit of that language. But it was great pleasure that we exchanged, and thus I recall all those things. Some Uriya family were there, so we exchanged the comics in their own languages. So you give me a really story which I relive my childhood. Thank you very much. And definitely as our guest of honor, though he's from economics background, but I know he's very into in the Manipuri culture because we and Dr. Hockey both we are the coordinator and co-coordinator of the Northeast Forum in our Shyam Lal Evening College. and definitely it gives a very good uh, at a good idea how to these comics gives us a sense to relive our past and connect to other future generation. Just like a social media, people are using social media as a source, so why not comics as a source? And thank you, Bhavika, for giving us this wonderful journey. And though you are critical in the first phase of your presentation, and that was needed, that the how we, but that is very interesting thing through the comics, how we assimilate the two cultures, though it is a critical point or a critique point, but how these comics we can assimilate these two cultures. So definitely this is a very interesting idea. And when you presented before this, I got stuck and amazed that the comics gives us a sense to connect each other, those who basically outside the Manipur or outside the Nagaland and outside their home state. So thank you, Bhavika, and thank you, our guest of honor, Dr. Nicolin Hakib, and moderators, Saleh